Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. Hope everyone had a nice, relaxing async and await week. So, for my async project, I decided to kind of investigate some of the technologies for deploying your websites or deploying your apps, I should say. One of them being Railway. And I also looked at AWS and Docker. Um, Railway was one of the deployment sites recommended by MDN. They also recommended some other ones like DigitalOcean and Heroku, but that's the one I kind of decided to go with. Uh, there's also AWS Docker, which is really popular. And actually, if you look at a bunch of job applications, or job listings, you can actually see them mention. They'll sometimes mention Docker as like a or AWS as a bonus skill to have. So another reason why I kind of wanted to investigate these. Uh, Bigger part of which is I actually wanted to figure out how to deploy apps so I could put them on my portfolio. This is my portfolio website that I currently have loaded onto malcolmvernon.info. This site is live. It's programmed in Python. Uses Flask in the backend. Flask is kind of similar to Node, except it's Python oriented. Uh, the only problem is I do not know how to launch React or Node applications yet. Uh, so then that's why I kind of started to look at these. So what I was attempting to launch here was JPF or our senior project that was kind of redoing it as a job kind of application. Uh, so it's not the greatest looking, but I was trying to do this mainly to just kind of practice the back end skills a little bit more. So if you kind of look over here, you can um, add a job, kind of put the URL, what you pitched. Imagine if you're kind of applying and trying to save your job applications, submit it, that gets added to the bottom, and then you can also kind of delete them. But then yeah, so this is the app I was attempting to deploy. Um, so I first tried Railway and kind of go over here. So I was actually running into lots of problems in deploying it. I got it to where it could. So by the way, how Railway kind of works is you'll add your modules that your application needs. So in this case, it's using Postgres, and here's the work search application I just showed you. The way it works is it'll clone it from your GitHub, and then you kind of set up the uh, you kind of set up the application for it to run on here. So I actually got it to where it was getting Postgres to connect to my. I was getting it to seed my database correctly. So you see, I got my Amazon and Taco Bell job I applied for, but then I couldn't actually get the normal app to run. I was looking at the settings, or not the settings, I should say. I was looking at the view logs, and and the logs I was kind of seeing that there were like it couldn't find certain files, like it can't find student single slice. So actually, those are files I probably should just delete since I cloned this from the senior project. I'm actually not even using it. Funny thing is, it runs on my local host, but it won't run on the server. So I probably just need to troubleshoot this a little bit better. But one thing I was also noticing as I was running it is on the build logs, it was actually it looks like it was kind of using a Docker file to build up everything in the background. So it was like another reason to even look at Docker a little bit more. And so getting back to Docker, what Docker actually is. It's a container mechanism. So if you imagine all your here, I'll show you this. So if you imagine that your uh, application will be run as kind of as a module. So in their tutorial, they have you running a SQL and Node kind of container. So you can have multiple containers talking to each other, and the idea is, from what I understand, is you kind of get your container set up, and then you could go to a site such as AWS, and then deploy it with their container product. But one thing that I originally was expecting this to take about a minute to learn, but this is actually pretty complex. It's almost kind of like learning Git and GitHub for the first time. So if you look at some of these, this is a sample application we have going on the moment. It's, uh, or actually, it's not here. It's actually not even running. Let me close. Oh, so many windows here. So let me close my app so it doesn't interfere. So basically, right here, you have all the different virtual environments. There's actually many virtual environments that you can install onto Docker. So if you kind of look at right here, so right now I have MySQL and Node, but you can also install, here they got Postgres. And then you have Node. So basically they call these images. So you see you have all the different Node versions going from, looks like they start at 14 going all the way to 19. But uh, so there's actually quite a bit of different commands that you need to learn for this. So right here, I'll spin up my application really quickly. There's multiple ways to start a Docker app. Uh, Normally, you'd have you could run the commands through the terminal, but then you can also create sort of a package file that you could just spin up and spin down whenever you want to start your application. So here I just launched uh, I'm executing this Docker file you see there. And then my application is now started. It's running on port 3000. So if I click it right there, okay, that's not what I wanted. This is running my, see, this is the problem when you have too many things running on the same. Okay, let me go back to, let me go back here and close that terminal. Okay, you should not have one thing running here. Okay, so this is the kind of sample Docker application. So you can, it's just a basic to-do app where you can add items. And then this is saving it in the MySQL version of the database, but you can also switch it to add a Postgres. But there's quite a bit of configuration that goes into setting up each of these. Uh, I also was looking into AWS, but AWS also turned out to be kind of a configuration nightmare as well. So unfortunately, I didn't get very far into making my app self-run online, but I did learn a lot about these technologies on the way. So that's my presentation. Hope you guys had a good time.